what happened is popularity of the anagram. The anagram is taught by a standard MBA program and used by organizations as large as the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, alright, Walt Disney companies, Silicon Graphics, Motorola, Federal Reserve Bank, and the top New York headhunting companies. Okay, the interesting thing about the anagram is like that. 5,000 years ago, actually, you know, in Babylon itself, later on it became more Islamic, right? And through the spread of the religion itself, anagram also followed. And the anagram has been used by, of course, if you are Christian, you read a little bit about the anagram, you find that the early church fathers also used anagram. Now, those days when they use anagram, it's not for selling insurance, you know. Okay, it's not for selling insurance, it's not for selling, okay? It's for the purpose of spiritual development. Anagram has always been, in the past, spiritual development. In fact, as early as in the 80s itself, when I was still a young student, okay, not so young, a Jesuit priest, okay, from the Catholic Church actually comes to Singapore to do spiritual development with the anagram. Alright, it's just that what happens, an interesting fact was, as the Islamic religion spread, it also carried along the anagram with them. So from Babylon, it spread all the way to the Arab world, alright, and it went into places like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, which is part of Russia, right? Part of Russia. Of course, USSR. Okay? And in the 40s, there was one gentleman by the name of Gurdjieff, right? He's a mystic, right? He is an anagram trainer, and what happened was, he migrated to Paris. Alright? In fact, this Russian mystic, he learned the anagram from also these spiritual people, okay, from Uzbekistan, this kind of area. So he actually made it very popular in Russia itself. Okay, that was before World War II, and after the war he went to France. And then in the 70s, if I remember correctly, he went to the States, America. And he got a few prominent students, like psychiatrists and medical doctors, who researched on the anagram, and during the 90s, Stanford University did a statistical study about it. They find it very true. Very accurate, better than MBTI, better than DISC. Why? Because unlike the other profiling system, this profiling system is able to help you make predictions. At the best, okay, a person of course can his uptime and downtime, right? At his best or at his worst. At his best, what is he most likely to do for this personality type? And then at his worst, what can he anticipate? And of course, like any technology that's been proven, who takes it first? The government lah. The government takes it first. You know who? CIA take it first. And use it against who? Ironical, right? 5,000 years ago it came from there. 5,000 years later, use it on the country of origin against this guy. Alright? That's a lesson for telling a lie. Okay? That you have something big. Okay, until now they cannot find it, right? So there's a big irony down here. 5,000 years ago, okay, it was used, alright? It went back to the place of origin. So, now this is the anagram symbol. Now some people, okay, for those of you who are more esoteric, to read a little bit about anagram, in the Middle East itself, the Sufis, okay, the Islamic mystic, they call it the face of God. Alright? And recently there was a book, okay, written by an Anglican priest who has a psychology degree. He wrote a very good book. I can't remember the title exactly. I think it's called Anagram for the 21st Century. And the book itself was very interesting. You know why? Because it was endorsed by one gentleman, which has a lot of influence on the Anglicans, the Archbishop of Canterbury. He wrote a very good preface to the book. And the book itself talks about all the major biblical characters and their anagram profile. And of course, one of the things stated by this priest is that God is all 9 personality types. Alright? So this is the beliefs. Alright? Okay? Good. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Yes, please. Oh, yeah. Some people look at it and say, ooh, witchcraft! Is it a pentagram? No, it's not a pentagram, okay? It's not a pentagram. It looks a bit like that, okay? And actually this thing has been around for a long time already. So it's nothing new. Okay, it's just that in this part of the world we haven't been exposed to it yet. Alright, but I'm not going to go into the depth of this thing yet, okay? So, and of course, the other part is neurolinguistic programming. Now, NLP offers powerful strategies to model the success of other successful sales professionals. Okay? It's the perfect complement to the Enneagram personality profiling. Alright, so once you got a profiling tool, alright, you can profile yourself, you know your strengths and weaknesses and all your hot buttons. Now is how to model successful people. Am I going to say that? Okay, that's why you have an MDRT early on to speak to you guys. Right? You want to model his secret of success. Agreed? Okay, very good. So, and of course, this gentleman on top with a very big chin, very tall figure, came to Singapore a number of times recently, he was here also. He says, okay, it built, okay, my sales career from zero to become the world's best motivator by using NLP. Okay, he actually built the best one of the very big sales empire. Of course, marketing his own products. And according to James Olsen, former chairman of AT&T, right, one of the biggest telco company in America, NLP produces results and improves rapport. I want all my staff, not one, not two, not the whole department, but all my staff to attend. And of course, Oprah Winfrey, right? NLP helps me to manage the audience and motivate them. It's just amazing. Okay, now, and of course, a little bit about more about the NLP itself. NLP is the most powerful vehicle for change, according to Modern Psychology magazine, Time magazine. NLP has metabolized into an all-purpose self-improvement program and technology. And now, let's go into a little bit of depth, right? A little bit of depth about the Enneagram. Now, I know there are a lot of books on Enneagram out there, mainly for workplace, how to get along with your team members in team building. But you hardly find any Enneagram books on sales, okay? Or Enneagram books that pertain to the salesperson, all right? So, there are, like I mentioned before, there are 9 basic Enneagram types. Okay, in Enneagram, for most teachers like myself, we try not to label the person. Try not to place a label on the person. We call it type 1, type 2, type 3, type 9. Okay, if you want a label, I can give it to you. A type 1 is also called a perfectionist. What did I say? Perfectionist. Okay, 完美主义者. Alright, these people like to think about everything in terms of right and wrong. Now, ones have a strong sense of right or wrong and how they should, okay, how they should interact with their prospects or client. So for them, is that it must be proper, okay, because they tend to be a bit rigid, right? They are highly ethical, okay, we must praise them for that, in how they represent their company and the services it offers. Now they become annoyed when others don't follow proper procedures and processes. And of course, they believe prospects need to make the right decision, the right buying decision. And the decision is like that, whether to buy from him or another company. Or sometimes Google say, okay, sitting in front of him, then you ask the person, let me go through with you first, whether I can better serve you or somebody else can serve you better. Imagine that. Okay, how you wish all your friends are like that, right? Then they will push everybody to you. Okay? They're nice people. Okay? They're very nice people. They really believe in giving the best to their clients. And of course, right, ones have strong, okay, control over their emotions. Right? They don't really show emotion in a sense, right? And they sound overly controlled in front of their clients and prospects. Okay, you met anybody along the way like that? Yes. Oh, okay, very good. And of course, tends to notice what's wrong more often than any of the Enneagram types, and feel it's his duty to point it out. Or the worst thing is that you notice already, then you point out. Excuse me, there's something sticking out of your nose. Okay? Ones usually don't feel right asking personal questions during a sales call. Alright? Now, by the way, as I go through the Enneagram types with you, I just want you to sort of calibrate yourself. You may fall into one of them. Okay? And of course, sometimes have trouble building rapport with prospects and clients. And this company here is nice because they are professionals. When a type 1 goes to heaven, they say this is depressing. There's nothing to improve here. Heaven is the best place to be in the sense afterlife, right? Okay. And then they will tell you this. A lot of ones will tell you this. Others have told me I'm too critical. Okay, the word is critical, and I'm just trying to make things right. Okay, they use words like right, proper, their lingo. Now, how many of you, when you do sales, you pay attention to what they say, the keywords? How many of you do that? So honestly, how many of you do that? Okay, 3. Wow, 3 out of 60 over. Okay, interesting figure. I think a mental note that. Now the next one, the type 2. Now, type 2s are in the Enneagram, some trainers call it the caregiver. These are the people who are very loving, very nurturing. Alright? You know this kind of agent shook, man. Because they really want to take care of your welfare. And what they do is that relationship, for them, relationships and people are important to them. And they will tell you that sales is about relationship. And of course, 2s are proud of the fact that clients couldn't do without them. They like to feel needed. They feel good being needed. Yeah, they feel good. I say, the more the client need me, the more shook they feel. That's why also they, in a sense, they also put a lot of stress on themselves. Because why? Because they always like to take a lot of troubles onto themselves. Okay, they like to care for people, overextend themselves. Now, 2s seems to intuitively know what the prospects and clients need before they even realize it. Okay, they're very intuitive in the sense that sometimes you talk to a 2, you find that, hey, does this person have a sixth sense? How does he anticipate or know? Alright? And then of course, this is usually a feeling person. Alright? Feels it's important for clients and prospects to like him or her before doing business. For them it's like that. No business deal until the client likes me first. No chop one, for them it's not a go in bazooka, that kind of thing, or shotgun, no. For them is must build relationship first. Now, how many of you can identify yourself as that? Okay, very good. Thank you for your honesty. Now, finds it difficult to ask for money or say no to a prospect or clients. Okay, especially something that he or the company can't really provide. Okay, there's a clue there. If you fall into that one of those. Okay, we will probably spend too much time bonding and building rapport. Often, they leave a sales call without the information he needs for the client's business. Rapport, and rapport some more. After that, the critical question is not there. Okay? And then what happens is, becomes angry when someone who they have helped previously doesn't reciprocate. They become very frustrated. And that's where they so-called go to the dark side. Okay, this is a lady who was yes, I went through a red light last week, okay, but I also took my neighbor to the doctor, sat up all night with a sick child, and listened to my mother-in-law complain for 2 hours. Then the judge said, please close. Okay? Sometimes my wife is type 2, I understand how the judge feels. Just joking, I don't tell my wife. and please edit the part from the video. Type 3. Okay, type 3s are the Anthony Robbins type. The achievers. Okay, in the Enneagram it's also called the achievers. Right, this Enneagram type, this personality category, they tend towards accomplishment, success, looking good. Okay, looking good is very important to them, and recognition. A lot of I remember many years ago there was a Rolls-Royce group or something, right? Very image conscious insurance agency. Heard of it? I can't remember what Ray something. So what happens is when I talk to the gentleman, he set up the group. The person is a type 3. The person is a type 3. For him, recognition is important. Right? For him, telling all the agents to each one own the Mercedes-Benz is important. Image builds business. These are the people who tell you, image builds business. Okay? A type 2, if you're a type 2 manager, they tell you, relationship builds business. A type 1 will tell you, proper way of doing business builds business. Okay? Now, for them, sales is about results. Okay? Not losing money, but results. And I love to compete and win. At one time, I remember that guy, you know what he said? If next year I don't reach MDRT, I'm very scared. That's what the guy said. And he really made it, okay? He really made it. And okay, then he says, okay, tends to gloss over details, okay, that his company expects him to cover. Sometimes, in order to get what he wants, sometimes he cut a few corners here and there. Type 3 tend to do that. Tend to, not always, and not every case, not every type 3 is like that. Alright, but this is typical of them. Alright? And I can easily adapt to fit any situation. You put a type 3 in any situation, they can blend in very well. They are also called chameleons. 变色龙. Oh, remind me of the show. 萌动. Okay, type 3. At times, I make promises I can't keep. Okay, the type 3 again. That gets me in trouble with my prospects, clients, and company. It's important, alright, for them to be in the right social circles, be concerned with who's who in the crowd. For them, they are very people conscious in a sense. Why? Because they want to be able to mix with successful people. And a lot of their clients, if possible, they want to also mix with successful clients or prospects. Alright, you got a good picture? How many of you are like that? You know yourself now. Don't raise up your hands. Okay, now it's important. Okay, the next one. My diary for type 3, because they are also called performers. Alright? My diary is always packed, and I'd like to check off do lists. For them, there are a lot of do lists. One day, how many do lists, and they check, very happy. The more they check, the more shit they feel. And of course, I find it difficult to relax. Of course lah, you got so many things to do, then you check it off, then you tell me you can relax. Logic, right? Okay? And now, this part here is interesting. When newly in love with a type 3, a woman will think that a type 3 is so successful. After married already, 6 years later, he's a workaholic. How many of you are married to one? Oh, okay. Very honest, thank you so much. Now, type 4. Type 4, okay. Type 4, this is very interesting. Very interesting type. Very interesting type, okay. I need, alright, pay attention to this one. I need to sell products that are unique. Okay, notice the word, unique. Involves my creativity and makes a difference in my client's life. Okay, they don't like off the bill kind of thing. Alright, and gets easily bored when having to do mundane or repetitive tasks. I'm sure you have someone in mind, like comics. Okay, I like to get to know my prospects and clients at a deeper emotional level. For them, they are even a little bit more depth than the type 2. The type 2 is relationship. For them, it's must get emotionally involved before they sell. That's the interesting part. And of course, by that, if people say I'm too emotional, unless my emotional get into the way. So is it good or bad? You decide, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, at this point, let me tell you something, okay? Every Enneagram type can sell. Every Enneagram type, I've seen MDRTs in every Enneagram type. It's just that each one of them are motivated differently. Understand or not? Because their God-given talents are different. Okay? So, and fours can be extremely envious of what others possesses that they don't have. They tend to be a bit ambitious. They envy in the sense that, hey, how come the person have, I don't have? They covet what people have. Alright? These are also what we call the artistic people. A lot of fashion designers are type 4s. Okay, a lot of fashion designers. This one here is not a confirmed statistics yet. They did a survey in America. Most of the artistic gay community, usually quite a number of them are type 4s. Alright? I got nothing against sexual orientation. Okay, I got friends, very good friends who are gay, right? Please don't send me any hate mail or email, please. And of course, look at this giraffe. There goes Derby trying to do something different again. For them, is that every time they like to do something different. This kind of people join them for marketing, the leader got problem. Because every time they want to reinvent the wheel. They want uniqueness, they want creativity. And these are the people I always advise them. Be a broker. Be an insurance broker, so you can represent many products. So you can mix and match. Make sense, right? Make sense, right? Okay, type 5s. They focus on influencing others. Okay, this type 5, we no longer 4. Focus on influencing others through knowledge. Wow, these people are very knowledge-based one. Okay? I think the government and then knowledge-based. Okay, I want to have all the information I need alright, to be successful on a sales call. For them, information is important. If you can give them insiders information, they love you. Okay, especially insiders information. And I'm not comfortable meeting new people, but if I feel prepared, I know I can do a good job. For them is that they have hesitation meeting new people. But of course, if they give them time to rehearse it in their mind, time to get comfortable with meeting, entertaining idea, they will do it. Okay, good. Now, 5 lack emotional appeal. Small talk and bonding are not my strength. They lack emotional appeal in a sense. So if you tell them, oh, okay, you go there and chat, mix around, networking, woo, they hate networking. Or if you go networking, you find them one corner. See people like that? Okay, good. And of course, I believe when a prospect is fully informed about the product I'm selling and sees the logic behind buying it, he will make the best buying decision. For you is that let the client make an informed decision. Okay, this is the preferred style of selling. Of course, you know a lot of times